Morning, ladies and gentlemen and council. I'm going to call this meeting to order. I'm going to start with a short prayer. Father, thank you for all your blessings that you gave to us in 2022, and I thank you for the upcoming 2023. Make it a great year for all the residents of the MD. Be with our staff today. Keep them safe. Be with us as council. Give us wisdom today in this meeting. In your name, Father, amen. Just wondering if there's any additions to the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. Members of the council, administration would recommend two additions. 9.5.4. The Bonneville Junior Pontiac's request for funding commitment. And under 12.1 closed session, intergovernmental relations, FOIP section 21.
I was aware again now, the last one?
12.1,
Yes.
under closed session, intergovernmental relations, FOIP section 21.
All right, we have anything else, Al?
From us, no additions,
Okay.
and I understand that there may be some deletions from council.
Yeah, I had a counselor that couldn't attend today. He asked me if we could take a couple off. I asked council, and they're in favor of taking them off till all of council is here. So I'd like to take off the agenda 9.3.1, so that's 5C001, fire suppression. And also 9.5.3, policy 1.006, financial assistance. Any other deletions or additions? Yep.
Thank you, Mr. I'm just wondering how you can go ahead with 9.2.1 when the others were deleted also. Because the master rates for the fire suppression are there, so should we omit that one as well?
It's up to council here.
Yeah. We can take that one off too. And then it'll come back.
They go hand in hand, Mr. Reeves, so just wondering.
Okay, we'll strike off 9.2.1. as
Mr.
well.
Reeve?
Yes.
If I may, there were changes in the master rates bylaw that directly affect the amending waste bylaw. And if you remove the amending master rates bylaw, it would be my recommendation that you also remove the amending waste bylaw because we cannot pass one without passing the other.
So we're going to create a big wave here. Okay.
Yeah, but you're assuming that's going to be passed.
They need to be passed at the same time. So if you don't give one consideration today, I wouldn't suggest giving the other one consideration until you can give them both consideration at the same time.
Yeah, but bylaw 9.2.1 could be defeated in a second reading, so you're in the same boat.
That's correct, but it would just be my suggestion. If you want to keep it, you can. But
Okay.
What does council think?
I don't understand that.
Yeah, Ms. Severn, just a quick question. So does that, so the waste bylaw, could that be held off till the following meeting?
I wouldn't be able to answer that question. It would be up to Environmental Protective Services. It's their bylaw.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes, it could. And it would be my recommendation if you're going to strike 9.3.1, you also strike 9.3.3, and we'll bring them back next week or next council meeting.
Okay.
Okay, then we'll strike 9.3.3, correct?
Thank you.
And 9.2.1, correct? Anything else, council? All right, I'm looking for a motion then. Thank you, Councillor Kraviak, for making a motion. On behalf of council, that council approves adopting the agenda as presented. Any discussion on this? I'll call for the vote.
As amended or as presented?
As amended, I guess, yeah. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
Just give us one moment, Mr. Reeve. We're just adding.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that.
No
Thank
worries,
you-
we're just
Thank you,
updating the
Deputy
motion.
Reeve and Mike. Yes.
Mr. Reeve,
Yes.
did we also omit 9.5.3? Did we, Mr.?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
I don't think that was on the agenda there.
No, it's deleted.
It was there?
9.5.3, yeah,
Okay, sorry.
no problem. All right, thank you, that was carried. Thank you, staff. That was a lot to write down in such a short time. Good job. On to the adoption of minutes, regular meeting of council, December 14, 2022. Just looking for a motion. Thank you, Councillor Crick, for making a motion on that. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you, that's carried. I guess we'll go to new business, 9.11.
Mr. Reeve, members of council, the 9.11 is notice of motion, and I turn the floor over to Councillor Slipchuk.
Hey, this is notice of motion submitted in accordance with section 17.2 of bylaw number 1787's procedural bylaw. It is presented by myself, Councillor Slipchuk. This notice of motion is read into the council record on January 10, 2023. The motion is read will be debated on January 24, 2023. Title, to redesignate industrial use lands either in or adjacent to current area structure plans to direct control districts. Whereas industrial, commercial development possibilities exist in many of our area structure plans and adjacent areas. And whereas these development possibilities may need expedited decisions to see their completion. And whereas to maximize the efficiency of the process and to ensure minimal red tape and extra steps for the developer and or the industrial applicant. Now therefore be it resolved that administration be directed to begin the process of redesignating potential industrial use lands either in or adjacent to all MD industrial use area structure plans to direct control districts. Further be it resolved that administration is directed to bring a report back to council no later than February 28, 2023, describing the process and a list of lands to be redesignated for council prioritization. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Slipchuk, for that. Yes, go ahead, Deputy Reeve Fadeev.
So I guess this question will be more for our CEO, Mr. Hogan. So are you going to bring up all industrial ones in here? Are we going to have the debate to what areas we're going to, like, it's going to encompass?
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Reeve and Council. This is only the notice of motion today. It would be debated on the 24th, so we would wait direction from Council once it's debated and resolved one way or the other as to exactly what we'd bring forward.
Sounds good. Thank you. I know we discussed this in the past on the, like in committee of whole, and this would definitely cut out a lot of red tape. Looking forward to the discussion. Thanks for bringing it up, Councillor.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. On to 9.2.2, Greater North.
Do we have to vote on this, or
Don't think so.
no?
No,
Just notice in motion and,
Yeah.
okay.
sorry.
No,
Thanks.
just a question.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor, or Reeve Kalinsky. My apologies.
No big deal.
And good morning, Council. The Municipal District of Bonnyville Number 87 is one of 14 member municipalities who support the Greater North Foundation, which is a housing management body that provides affordable seniors and community housing in the region. The Greater North Foundation is requesting approval from each of their 14 member municipalities as per Alberta Seniors and Housing Corporation requirements to establish a restricted capital reserve for the purpose of maintenance, replacement, and renewal of their aging facility infrastructure. This request is consistent with the guidelines outlined in the Management Body Operation and Administration Regulation. Attached for your reference is the letter of request from Greater North Foundation. The Greater North Foundation is anticipating a 1% requisition increase as an annual contribution to this proposed reserve. And in 2022, the Greater North Foundation requisition was $261. This proposal is a prudent financial sustainability tool to ensure funds are available for asset management purposes into the future. The legislation that's applicable is the Alberta Housing Act, Section 7A, and the Management Body Operation and Administration Regulation, Section 23 and 23.1. There is no financial impact to the MD of Bonnyville Number 87 itself, as the requisition amount is levied to the municipal ratepayers and remitted directly back to the Greater North Foundation. The recommendation of administration is that the Council of the Municipal District of Bonnyville Number 87 approves the establishment of a reserve fund by the Greater North Foundation as outlined in the Alberta Housing Act and the Management Body Operation and Administration Requisition. Happy to answer questions if there are.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Councillor Crick.
Thank you for presenting that. Can you explain the 1% requisition? Is that 1% of the 277,000, or is that like an additional 1% on all taxes, or how does that work exactly, the 1%?
Through the Reeve, thank you, Councillor Crick. The 1% is actually based on our equalized assessment. So they calculate the requisition that they send into the MD. It's based on the equalized assessment that the province establishes each year. And as a 14th member, we pay based on that. And so the 1% would be in addition to what they would normally requisition So it wouldn't be 1% on 277,000. It would be an additional 1% on whatever our equalized assessment is for that year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so does that mean that there'll be, if we say yes to this, there's gonna be a 1% tax increase to everybody in the MD of Bonnyville?
No, through the REIV, the actual impact is approximately $2,000.
Okay.
I roughed that because I don't know what the equalized assessment will be.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Deputy Reeve. Fidel.
Yeah, there's a couple things missing I was looking for the information on the 14 communities, and on equalized assessment, seeing that we're, with the ID 349, that we are the holders of it, but yet, at the end, we actually give out a lot of the money to the city of Cold Lake and the town of Bonnyville and Glendon. How would that affect us, or it doesn't?
The order in, through the REIF, the order in council establishes the amounts that are transferred to those other communities based on that document. My understanding is that area is still managed by the provincial government, and so I do not believe that will affect this requisition. I can double check that for you.
Yeah, that'd be great, because I know with the, like with the policing costs, some of that got missed, and, we were, even though we're distributing the wealth everywhere, that we are, we're the ones holding the bag for the policing costs. I just don't want this to be the same. So I'd like to make the motion that council directs administration to bring back additional information regarding the request from Greater North Foundation concerning, so base number 2, yeah, you guys are okay with that?
Yes, Councillor Craigie.
Yeah, this 277,000 is from the 14 foundations, the amount of money. If you look at your tax roll, the amount you pay for the lodge is very minimal, maybe $20, $25. So 1% of that is not very much money. It's about $2,000 altogether from the EMD, so it's just a drop in the bucket.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Deputy Reeve Fidel, for making a motion that council, on behalf of council, the council of the municipal district of Bonnyville approves the establishment of a reserve fund by the Greater North Foundation as outlined in Alberta Housing Act and Management Body Operations and Administration Regulations. That's not the one you wanted. Number 2, sorry about that. That council directs administration to bring back additional information regarding the requests from the Greater North Foundation concerning the establishment of reserve fund to a future meeting of council as instructed. It's a long ways from here. Any discussion on this?
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. Just wondering what additional information you need, Mr. Deputy Reeve.
Like I said a few minutes ago, I just wanted to have more information in regards to our ID 349 and make sure that's not encompassed or it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I think so. Just wanted more information in regards to that, and the 14 communities that are involved, or 14, associations. So I'm sure it's not a big deal, but just a little more information.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have a little more information. We did get stung on the policing. All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried, thank you. On to 9.3.1. Nope. On to 9.3.2. Sorry.
Good morning, Mr. Reed, members of council.
Morning.
This is the, a review of the Consolidated Public Safety Bylaw, Bylaw 1812. Excuse me. Public Safety Department deals with numerous MD bylaws on a regular basis, some much more frequently than others. To simplify the enforcement process and to complete a review of our bylaws, it was decided to review, update, and consolidate our more frequently enforced bylaws into one consolidated public safety bylaw. This bylaw was reviewed by Council on November 23rd, 2023, where it was given first reading. Since that review, a few additional changes have been made, namely to do with sidewalk clearing under Section 2. There was a change to the dog impound period from 3 days back to 2 under Section 5. There was a change added for failing to comply with Section 5.7. There was a change to usage rules for MD trails under Section 6. Confusing terminology in Section 6.21 was amended. And fine changes under 5.2 sub B, sub G, and 6.7 sub E were amended. There was a grammatical error also in 6.12 sub B. Discussion and benefits of options. Conducting a review and update of the old bylaws helps to reduce the risk to the MD by ensuring that old and out-of-date bylaws terminology no longer referred to within our bylaws. We strengthen our legal footing should prosecutions be necessary. We would also ensure that our frequently used public safety bylaws remain aligned with the current strategic plan. The bylaws that were selected for inclusion into the consolidated bylaw were the Traffic Services Bylaw number 1610, Nuisance Unsightly Property Bylaw number 981, Animal Control Bylaw number 1371, Cannabis Consumption number 1704, and as of yet unapproved UAV or drone bylaw, as well as the Noise Control Bylaw 1657. The new Consolidated Public Safety Bylaw is attached as an appendix, and the strategic plan alignments fall under goal number 2, enhancing safety in the community, and goal number 4, enhancing livability in the community. Council administration is recommending the bylaw 1812 being a bylaw by the Municipal District of Bonnyville number 87 to establish regulations for the safety and security of the public within the municipality be given second reading as amended. And I'm prepared to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I got a couple here.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Crick.
Section 2.5, I think that was maybe the, section 2.5, that might have been the, about the snow removal there. No property owner or occupant of property shall place or permit any snow, ice, derbies, or other material removed from sidewalks or private property onto the highways. From sidewalks, or private property. I just wondered, like, if you are clearing sidewalks in the hamlet, they're gonna have to almost put snow onto the, the hamlet property, the MD property, right? So that wouldn't.
What we're looking at is in front of residences and that kind of thing. So rather than pushing it onto to the street, we'd like them to push it back up onto their property, onto their grass, onto their lawn, sort of thing.
Okay.
Sort of a traditional way of putting snow, clearing snow off the sidewalk.
Okay. And then on page 26, I'll just scroll down there here. Page 26, where it talks about trails. 26.20B, no person shall operate a motorized vehicle on or adjacent, 6.20A. It says basically that you're allowed to use bicycles, skateboards, and scooters only. Anything that's basically human-generated power on the trails. And I just wondered if we should put something in for e-bike, to allow e-bikes and possibly mopeds in there as well. Because an e-bike is not really human power, it's electric, right? So, but it's still a bicycle.
And that through the reef to Councillor Crick. And that's something that could be discussed. That's the purpose of the readings. If there's an appetite for that, we can entertain it. Although we were kind of following the regulations that are established by the province and other municipalities. My understanding of is those e-bikes, anything powered is not supposed to be on a pedestrian type walking trail. If you go into other cities, you'll see that there's those e-bikes and those e-scooters typically go where bike lanes only, as opposed to bike lanes and pedestrian traffic. But it's something that can be discussed with the group here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's definitely a gray area because they are somewhat powered by yourself as well. So it's kind of a two, right? So for sure, so I get it.
How fast do these new bikes go? I have no idea. Like how,
Well, there's different ones. There's some
Yeah.
that are a combination of pedals and power, and then there's other ones. Well, we were in Regina and we saw those. We tried to demo those ones that have the battery, right? And
Yeah.
they were on a walking trail. There's no harm in that. But so I guess I'd like to see.
but if it's going
e-bikes.
30 kilometers an hour, it's trucking, right? I don't know if the new ones do that. I have no idea. I don't know the first thing about them.
Having, excuse me, through the reef to
I'll get you.
council, having used one of those scooters myself, like just the electric scooters, they can get going pretty good, but so can a pedal bicycle. I mean, we have to be apples to apples if we're
Yeah.
talking speed, right? But, you know, it's kind of one of those things where you sort of decide, well, maybe it's something that could be done in stages if that's such a thing, but if that's.
I think a lot of those bikes that are made, they're made for like recreation. It's not like you see them, when you see them on TV or something, they're always in some kind of a park going down it's not like someone's going to work with them every day. Well, I guess they do go to work with them every day. Yeah. Counselor Slipchuk.
Yeah, well, the e-bikes, I understand what Josh's saying. Like, there's a lot of residents, I know from Moose Lake personally, that use that trails, and they have e-bikes, and they come right to Bonneville from the developments there. So they're going to be affected. We built these trails. I'd like to see them continue and use, not affect their usage by these people coming to town
Yeah.
with the e-bikes.
Yeah, I think we could add on, put these bikes in, I don't know about little scooters or not like gas-powered scooters, I don't think, but a electric e-bike would probably be all right. I don't know, what does everyone else think? Counselor, Deputy Reeve Fadave?
Well, the question is, I think it's a definition of call them walking trails. So are they walking trails or are they trails? Because I think a walking trail means that people that are walking should be safe. Or is it just a trail that everybody can use? And I think that's part more the issue we
discussion.
have with this than anything. So,
Well, we can change the definition of walking trail to trail. That's pretty simple, right? They're wide paved paths in the MD, so I think there's plenty of room for both on them.
Well, I think the more we can use a trail, the better it is. Like if you're gonna, we built this trail for people to use, so if we're gonna, you don't want quads racing down or, go-karts, but a e-bike, I don't think it's gonna hurt anybody, but. Al, what do you think?
Can I,
Thank you, Mr. Reed, members of council. I think the issue becomes at some point is the slippery slope. I think everybody thinks today that an e-bike, recreational, trundles along at 15, 20 kilometers an hour and might be perfectly compatible on a trail. But as technology changes, what happens when somebody wants to put a four-wheel electric vehicle on the trail that now does 50 or 60 kilometer an hour? I think that's where the bylaw will begin to have some issues. Is once you open the door to those vehicles being on a trail, is even an e-bike, and for example, the e-bikes that were used last year in FCM, are they compatible really on a walking trail? That's really going to be the big question. Is the compatibility? People and I don't know if we're going to be busy enough for that. That'll be an interesting question. I worry about the slippery slope. We allow a certain type of vehicle. What will that lead to next? Is there going to be another type of vehicle that will be allowed? And before we know it, we've created a motorized trail. It might be perfectly acceptable. I would leave that to council to determine. But that would be my concern, is that if we are going to amend that portion of the bylaw, it's amended in such a way that it makes it difficult for a loophole to pop back up. Maybe an e-bike or an e-scooter would be perfectly acceptable. But what does that lead to with with how technology is changing
Technology.
in terms of electric?
Every year,
Yeah, it
changes.
changes. We wouldn't have thought 5 years ago we'd been talking about electric scooters. Now electric scooters, you can rent them in the city. Electric bikes can be rented in the city, but they do have very specific bike lanes, and in the city, there are very specific areas they can be used on. So I think for today's discussion, I think for as many as there are, it's probably not a big issue. I just worry as to the loophole that we'd be creating to allow, we'd have to stay on top of that.
Yes, Councillor Crick?
Yeah, I guess there's always a possibility of technology increases. Maybe Tesla's gonna come out and make an electric motorbike that goes 160 kilometers an hour. That's quite a possibility, actually. And at that point, we can, if we have to change the bylaw or update it, then we can certainly do that. But for now, like electric scooters, electric bicycles that are really equivalent to most bicycles, I think we should allow them on the trails.
Okay.
I would add, Mr. Reeve and members of the council, that we do, under 620, we define these as walking trails. And of course, I'll throw out, you know, the constant CO worry about liability. Is this, are our trails designed for mixed use, and what is our liability in the event that somebody walking on the trail comes around the corner and is struck by somebody on an electric bicycle doing 40 kilometers per hour? The electric bikes that are out there now, and I've looked at them myself to get back and forth to the office, I think they're wonderful, but they are street legal, and they travel at 40, 45 kilometers per hour. So is that mixed use compatibility? And if there was to be an incident on a trail, what would the MD's liability in that be in the event that we've now allowed the mixed use on that trail?
Yes, Councillor.
I guess the other side of that argument too is that if they're not allowed on the trail, then they're gonna be driving on the right-hand side of the road, on a road where the speed limit's 80 kilometers an hour, and that's no safer either, I don't think, so. As far as changing, like adding that in there, do you need a motion to add that in there, or do we just ask for administration to adjust that?
I would suggest a motion, because we're also going to have to change probably throughout the bylaw the definition of walking trail to trail. So that, because right now under 620, it's called walking trail, and it's alluded to in several other areas in the bylaw as walking trail. So if they're not walking trails, we'll have to change that, and that, I think I would prefer to have a motion, bring it back, and we'd bring the bylaw back, because I don't know, we'd have to spend some time administratively looking to see what other domino impacts are in terms of our trail system and our trail policies and programs. Because I'm not sure right now, just changing this to a trail, I mean, the consolidated public safety bylaw, what the domino impact is going to be on other trail policies.
Yeah, Councillor Slipchak?
Well, I guess we could bring it back and debate it then, and like what we could put in there, but can't we just have a walking / bicycle, two-wheel trail, bicycle trail, like, and have a speed limit for even bicycles, because bicycles, I think you can do 60, 70 kilometers an hour on them too.
I know I can't.
I can't either, unless I'm going down a really steep hill that we don't have here.
And through the Reeve to council, we can put a speed limit on anything.
Yeah.
The fundamental problem with the speed limit is enforcement. We don't have peace officers with radar guns on trails. So you could put, and then so electric, for example, you can now get electric two-wheeled motorcycles.
Yeah.
Not just bicycles, but motorcycles. Two-wheeled, electric. So then what separates an electric bike from an electric motorcycle? I don't know, and that's my worry with the slippery slope that this would open us up to. And then we'd have to start defining very specific vehicles that would or would not be allowed on the trail.
Would it be wise just to send this back? And, or do you want something resolved today?
Through the Reeve, we're going to have to, if this is what council wants to see, we're going to have to look at things such as, are we going to require helmets? Are we going to require, like, is there a maximum CC, or not CC, excuse me, but kilowattage that we're allowing? Because there are the province defines what a mini vehicle is and where you can use them as far as the province is concerned. And they do go to that level where they say if it's under 50 watts or 500 watts, I'd have to look at the literature. They also talk about helmets. Say, is there a maximum, or excuse me, minimum age that we would, so we'd have to have those discussions to open it up to something like that.
Seems pretty complicated. Yeah, go ahead. Deputy
Yeah, I
Reeve.
think it all comes down to the definition of an e-bike. What does an e-bike mean? To the bikers in our crowd, they think it's an actual scooter. I have friends with e-bikes, and they're a pedal assist electric bike that makes it easier to go up a hill and things like that. So, yeah, the definition is fairly gray to that. I think we'd like to see some sort of definition to what a e-bike, what that means, right? Is it a pedal assist with electric motor, or is it a scooter, or is it a motorbike? And I think that's what it comes down to. So,
And Mr. Reeve, the other question to become is, we don't allow motorized vehicles on any of our ERs or MRs. So, and those are considered trails as well. So would we then be allowing these vehicles on our environmental reserve and on our municipal reserves as well, which we currently do not? So that would be, I would prefer to see a motion from council to direct us to come back with something further on the e-bikes, because by allowing those on is, again, as Mr. Gandolfi said, helmets, speed restrictions, size of the equipment. This becomes,
It's getting pretty
it
complicated.
gets much more complicated.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Craig.
I'll make a motion that we direct administration to bring back more information on e-bikes for our trails. And that, I guess they'll bring that back with this bylaw, I guess, to the next, well, it doesn't have to be the next meeting, but when possible.
I think we'll have to probably come back to committee a whole for
Sure.
discussion
Yeah.
before that happens, right?
Okay.
That'd be a good place to discuss this, yeah. Okay. Yes, Councillor Citro.
I had another bylaw question, was the unmanned aerial vehicle 7.2. It is prohibited to operate a drone or UAV near agricultural operations. So how
Just-
are we protecting the landowner if he wants to fly his UAV? I know I brought it up
Just
before there.
1 second, Councillor Citro. We have a motion on the floor, I think. We have to take care of that first, sorry. You guys, did you hear what the motion was? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, when we were in FCM at Regina, the bicycles had to yield to pedestrians on the trail. But what we rented was more like a scooter.
Yeah.
And that was in downtown Regina, where there's a lot of people on the trail there, so I think it's totally possible here to do it.
Mr. Reeve?
Yes.
If I may, just for clarity, to make sure we understood Councillor Craig's motion, is that you would like administration to bring back additional information regarding the use of electric bikes on municipal land to a future committee of the whole meeting, correct? For further discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, it's 9:30. All right. Thank you, Councillor Crick. We have a motion that council directs administration to bring back additional information regarding the use of electric bikes on municipal land to future committee of the whole meetings for further discussion. Any discussion on this motion? Yes, go ahead.
Now can I add about the 7.2 onto it, though, as well?
No. Yeah?
Mr. Reeve, if Councillor Slipchuk would like to amend that motion to add the UAVs to that discussion, absolutely, that would be, if council
Okay.
votes on the amendment,
I
absolutely.
apologize. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to amend it, this motion amended to bring information back on 7.2 for landowners in regards to unmanned drones.
Okay, I have to make a amendment to the motion, correct? Any discussion on this?
Are we going to see the amendment?
Guess we have a public hearing right now, right?
Sorry, just to clarify, that's to, address the use of UAVs?
Correct.
UAVs.
Where was that part at?
So, Mr. Reeve, we just need council to vote on that amendment.
Yes.
And then if you pass that amendment, then we'll add it to the main motion for you guys to vote on.
I guess they just wanted to see it.
Okay.
Are you guys still need to see it, or you're
We can
okay?
vote on it.
All right. Any other discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Yep. All those in favor? Carried, thank you. I was just going to make two motions. If you- I guess it's,
We just want to make sure it's worded properly before you call for the vote, Mr. Reeve.
all right. We have a motion moved by Councillor Crick on behalf of council that council directs administration to bring back additional information regarding the use of UAVs within the municipality, as well as the use of electric bikes on municipal land to future committee of the whole meeting for further discussion. Any discussion on this motion, gentlemen? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve. Council.
Who wish to speak in support of the application, followed by those who wish to speak in opposition of the application. Council may ask questions of the public presenter during this time only. Administration, as the applicant, will then be provided with the opportunity to rebut anything they have heard or read in the opposition of their applications, followed by the questions from council only on information provided during the rebuttal. May I have a motion to open public hearing? Thank you, Councillor Kraviak, for making a motion to open public hearing. Any discussion? Call for the vote. That's carried, thank you. Okay, opening the hearing, administration presentation. Morning.
Good morning, Council. We're here for the public hearing for bylaw number 1830, the public notification bylaw. The bylaw will establish a method of advertising for the municipality, including notices and resolutions, meetings, and public hearings, and other things referred to in the MGA to be published on our website, and when necessary, in other advertising methods, including newspapers.
Okay, that's it. Thank you. Any sorry.
We did receive 2 letters of opposition to the bylaw. I believe we received one in your council package, and another, there's another for a handout.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Could we ask a question for clarity or what?
Yeah.
I just want to ask a question on 2.3, where it says the MD of Bonneville, number 87, may also choose. Does that mean it may not as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Deputy Reeve-Fidev?
Yeah, so the clarity on this here is, so we still have, according to, I guess, the table of contents in 2.3, so we have the first choice, still newspaper, MD social media, social optic, and that I'm assuming that is kind of the choice of advertising based on funding and everything else.
That is a great, through the Reeve to Deputy Reeve-Fidev, that is a great point. What we're trying to do, based on budget deliberations and the reduction in our print advertising budget by $100,000 in 2023, is to move the majority of our announcements to our digital platforms, our website, our social media content. So no, they're not in order, but we can change that.
But it was just a question, that's all. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councillor, sorry, Councillor Crave, yeah?
It's okay. Thank you, Mr. Reeve. But to Deputy Reeve, they may not advertise in newspapers also. That's what this says. They may or may not. So,
Mr. Reeve, this is a public hearing.
Yeah.
oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. I'd like to announce that one written submission has been provided in the agenda package, and one additional written submission was received after the meeting's agenda was published. As such, I will now recess the meeting for, let's say, 20 minutes to allow time to review the latest submission, and I believe you have that with you, correct? Okay, welcome back. I just going to state that this meeting has been reconvened, and the additional submissions will be added to the public agenda package following today's meeting. At this time, I'm going to ask if there's any presenters in support of this. Is anyone here in support? I'm going to ask again, is there anyone wish to speaking in support of this? And for the third and final time, I'm going to ask if anyone wants to speak in support of this. Seeing none, I'll continue here. Is there anyone here in opposition of this? All right, come on up. Maybe one, are you guys all together or, yeah, one at a time then, please. Who do we have on the list first, or do we have anyone on the list? Go ahead, we'll just,
Thank you, Mr. Reed, members of council. I'm Jeff Gay, publisher of Respect newspaper.
Let's start all over again.
You're very good. Thank you, Mr. Reeve and members of council. I'm Jeff Gay. I'm the publisher of Respect newspaper.
good morning, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. As a newspaper publisher serving the MD of Bonnyville, I have an obvious interest in this bylaw. The MD has been Respect's best advertising customer, and that ad revenue is important to us. But I understand your job isn't to support local business for the sake of it. You have to deliver services to your ratepayers in a cost-effective manner. My training isn't in journalism. It's in public relations and communications. And I don't need to remind you that communication is one of the important services your residents expect you to deliver. We live in the so-called information economy. And communication is more than just a box to tick with every other program you deliver. For modern businesses and for governments, it's a core service. And its importance is growing. Your ratepayers need to know what you're doing for them and how and why you're doing it. It's important to them, and it's important to you. The first rule of strategic planning and communication is know your audience and know how they receive their information. You have diverse audiences in the MD, including all age groups, different sectors of employment. You have farms, acreages, recreational properties, and industrial land users. Effective communication isn't one size fits all. It has to be targeted to your respective audiences. The MD has always done that exceptionally well. It isn't cheap, but the alternative is doing a poorer job of it, and a poor job of anything always ends up costing you. My readers are mostly seniors, and I understand some of them have been calling their counselors on this. I'm glad to hear it. But be careful not to fall into the thinking that print media is just for us old folks. The 2021 Media Usage Survey by Totem Research showed that in rural Alberta, almost 80% of respondents read their local newspaper every week. That holds for rural Alberta in general, specifically for towns and villages under 10,000 people, and the statistics are almost identical for farms. Now, they don't read their paper for the ads. They read for the stories, and not just the stories about their local, provincial, and federal governments. They read for the pictures of minor hockey and senior sports. They read for the community concerts, the art shows, for the 100th birthdays, and for the obituaries. They read for the stories about their friends and neighbors. The newspaper builds community through communication. Our biggest story ever at Respect was this fall's item about the Wikolchik family farm getting an award through Farm Fair International. We sold more papers and generated more social media and online traffic for that story than for anything else we've done. That proves the value of community news. Local readers are proud of their community. They care about the MD of Bonnyville, and they care about what's happening. They turn to their local newspapers for those stories. And that comes back around to serving your communications needs. Your local newspapers deliver readers who are engaged in local stories and in your ad content. Every communications professional knows this quote from George Bernard Shaw. The biggest obstacle to communication is the illusion that it has taken place. Just because I say something doesn't mean that you necessarily heard it. Or if you heard it, you might not have understood it the way that I meant it. Effective communication isn't just the act of posting your message. It's the art of ensuring that the message is delivered and received and understood. A passive strategy, simply making your message available, is no strategy at all. If you're not actively communicating, reaching out in a forum that engages your audience, you'll miss large numbers of people who need your information. And I'd add that people that you need to have receive your information. So your budgeting decision, I'd say, isn't whether you want to buy an economy car or a Cadillac. It's whether you need a car or a truck. And you need the truck if you want to do the job. In rural Alberta, newspaper advertising still delivers. for the MD of Bonnyville, it's a necessary part of your communication strategy. Thank you, Mr. Reeve.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any question? Yep.
Yeah, just for clarity, who does the Respect newspaper reach, and how does it get there, I guess, to whoever it's reaching?
So who does it reach? We publish primarily for seniors, Cold Lake, Bonnyville, St. Paul region, including the MD of Bonnyville, County of St. Paul. We're a small paper. Our circulation is 1,000 people.
Okay.
That's-
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Claire Govero. I am the publisher of Lakeland This Week newspaper. Lakeland This Week is a regional weekly newspaper that combines the resources of three long-standing publications in this region: the Bonnyville Nouvelle, the Lac La Biche Post, and the St. Paul Journal. The regional publication was born out of necessity at a time when business operations across the board were forced to adapt overnight to a changing landscape, where everything they had taken for granted, including the delivery of their services, their income sources, and their customers, were sidelined by a worldwide pandemic. Our newspaper operations were no different. Like many of our longtime friends in business in this region, we have pivoted and adjusted our operations. It did what we could to continue to provide our product. That product is news and advertising. There was certainly no lack of news during the pandemic. We continued to cover it, record it, and publish it in the pages of Lakeland This Week. We also continued to cover the municipal government's scene, zooming into your meetings to ensure that our readers had current and updated information from their municipal councils. Which brings us to today. And while restrictions have been lifted, as I'm sure you are all keenly aware, a post-pandemic economy is struggling to find its legs. The Bonnyville Nouvelle has been publishing a newspaper in the Bonnyville area since the mid-1960s. It has served as a newspaper of record here for 60 years, chronicling the life and times of the communities it serves, including the vast rural area that is the MD of Bonnyville. Each and every week we share the news, the announcements, the events, and the decisions that shape the lives of the people that call this area home. As I gathered my thoughts as to what message I would like to convey to you today, I came to the realization that I need to deliver a news story, a story that contains the basics of any well-balanced journalistic endeavor: the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, and of course the how. And as we all know, both sides of the story must be seen to be presented in order for it to be seen as credible. That story today is your consideration of the advertising bylaw before you. In a nutshell, you are considering a bylaw that will allow you to drop the newspaper from the MD's communication strategy. While administration has provided you with their side of the story, which reveals no downside, in their opinion, to relying solely on the MD website and social media to publish important information relating to MD operations, their position fails to take into consideration the bigger picture, which as elected officials, you must always consider. The residents of the MD of Bonnyville, taxpayers who fund MD programs, services, and staffing, expect their council to operate in an open and transparent manner. Something many of you, I would expect, campaigned on during the 2021 municipal election. According to the background information provided by administration in introducing this advertising bylaw at the December 14th council meeting, and I quote, "Council directed administration to draft a bylaw establishing methods of advertising, information important to the residents and ratepayers of the MD. This includes moving the majority of advertising to digital platforms, including the municipal website and social media. It is important to recognize that for several years, the MD has been using its website and social media to do just this, in combination with your local newspapers. Certainly, this speaks to Council's desire to make use of every available means possible to ensure your ratepayers are kept informed, and this is to be commended. Using all advertising methods available just makes common sense. Openness and transparency are cornerstones of democratic governance. Our bylaw is not required to publish public notices online, as long as they continue to be published in the local newspaper. However, the administration is now assuming that the MD's website and social media is all that is needed to keep residents informed. This is allowable under the Municipal Government Act. An amendment was made several years ago that allows this to occur. But a particular note is the fact that Council must be satisfied that methods chosen by a municipality to advertise proposed bylaws, resolutions, meetings, public hearings, and other things reach, and I quote, according to the Municipal Government Act, substantially all residents. It is at this point that the journalist in me has to ask, what exactly is this proposed MD bylaw based on? Is it a question that Council should be asking? Where are the analytics to back up administration's assumption that the MD website can serve as the be-all and end-all of its communication strategy by removing the community newspaper from the equation and yet continue to reach substantially all residents? Making information accessible online does not mean the public has been informed. Administration also notes in its background that moving to digital notification via the MD's website and social media platforms will allow for timely notification and may increase efficiencies for select MD services. What could our weekly publishing schedule prevent the MD from doing in a timely manner when it comes to the posting of public notices? There is a regulatory process you are required to follow under the Municipal Government Act, whether or not you advertise in print. The suggestion by your administration of possible increased efficiencies for the MD operations by dropping the local print media should raise an eyebrow or two. Again, there is no supporting documentation to support increased efficiencies. I suppose if people are not adequately informed about upcoming development plans, bylaw amendments, and such, there is less engagement, and then likely fewer questions asked of administration and asked of yourselves by your ratepayers. Together with open meetings and freedom of information, public notices are a key element of government transparency. In the case of free media releases, which we often receive from the MD Communications Department, announcing such things as a new MD program or a new chairlift at Canusa Ridge, administration generally shares them with local media with the intent being, I would think, to inform as many people as possible. Is there an intent to also stop sharing these media releases with the local newspapers? I think not. Is it then a stretch to surmise our relationship with MD residents and our reach is considered valuable by yourselves only when it is free? MD administration maintains moving to digital notifications will result in $100,000 in savings. In fact, this amount has already been removed from your 2023 operating budget. In what would almost seem as a cart before the horse scenario, your CAO introduces $100,000 decrease in print advertising amendment during the budget process in late November, which Council approved. This advertising bylaw to shut out local newspapers was subsequently introduced on December 14th. This story is much more about advertising revenue for our local newspaper, revenue that is reinvested in local journalism. It will be at the expense of limiting access to information for ratepayers who currently use a variety of means, including our newspaper and your website, to stay informed. Lakeland This Week is provided to MD residents at no charge by the Bonneville Nouvelle through a combination of direct mail and newspaper boxes. The MD of Bonneville has a long-standing business relationship with the Bonneville Nouvelle. We have provided you with an avenue for direct communication with your residents through advertising for decades. Your investment, I believe you will agree, has served you well and continues to do so. From listing development permits to council briefs to public hearing notices and upcoming events at your community halls, and so much more, your weekly MD information notice pages in our paper share the MD story each and every week with our readers. However, our relationship goes much beyond that of advertising. It is grounded in a mutual respect, that while our roles may be quite different, we can agree on one thing, and that is the responsibility we each carry to ensure a healthy democracy which relies heavily on well-informed citizens. With that in mind, I ask that you reject this proposed advertising bylaw, that you say no to shutting out your local newspapers, and yes to equal access to information for all your ratepayers. I thank you for your time today, and I appreciate the opportunity to share our side of the story.
Thank you. Any questions for clarity?
Just for clarity, I just want to comment that it was council that started the process. This brought up the question about media expenses, and it brought it forward to the CA, to the administration to review for us. We were initiated that.
Prior to the amendment that was brought forward from your CAO to the budget discussions to reduce print media by 100,000?
Yes.
Okay, then I stand corrected, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
I'm not on the agenda, but I'd like to say just a few words. Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm Brianna Ernst, and I'm with the Bonneville Nouvelle. And I've worked with the Nouvelle for close to 15 years. So I've been doing the MD ads for that long. And I just want to say that the newspaper and the MD really share the same goals. And it's about being transparent and providing what's happening in our community to the ratepayers. The paper reaches a large amount of your ratepayers, and there are a significant amount of your ratepayers that do find their information in the paper. And I think it is a very valuable asset that you guys have at your fingertips to reach all of your ratepayers. So that's what I'd like to say.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or clarity? No? Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I'd like to ask again if there's anyone else that's in opposition of this. And also for the third and final time, is there anyone else that's in opposition that'd like to speak? Seeing no one, no further questions are permitted of any public presenters, either for or against an administration's rebuttal. Anything?
Thank you,
No?
Mr. Reeve.
Sorry.
No
No?
rebuttal at this time.
Okay. Okay, I guess we're going to close the hearing then. I'll need a motion to close the hearing. Yes, Deputy Reeve Fideo closes the hearing at 10:27. Any discussion on this? Seeing that, I'll call for the vote. Yep. Okay, that's carried. We'll take a 5-minute break, please. Okay, welcome back. We have a delegation here from the City of Cold Lake Library Board. A couple ladies, welcome and come on up.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for your patience. You guys are sitting out there for a while. Appreciate that.
My name's Tanya Boudreau. I work at the Cold Lake Public Library. I'm the assistant director. I'm here in place for the director, Leslie Price.
Can you pick it up? Am I being picked up from here?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah,
Okay.
you could center it a bit. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, I'm Suzanne Acey. I am one of the board members for the Cold Lake Library Board. I'm the secretary.
Okay.
Our chair could not come today.
Okay, welcome.
Perfect, they have it up there. Oh, great. Okay.
We'll give you a clicker there too, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Good to go.
That's awesome. Okay, so thank you for having us here today. As you see on the next slide, do you want to click?
Sure.
Okay, where do you click? Oh, there, it's a PDF. Okay, there we go. Okay, our Cold Lake Library Board consists of Hannah Penn and Ryan Bailey is our City of Cold Lake rep. With the MD of Bonnyville, we have Ben, and our vice chair is Gary Webb, and I am the secretary. And we're always trying to recruit new board members. We're going to keep doing that starting now because it would be nice to have more board members join. So the Cold Lake Public Library builds community through a variety of programs and services. Friendly, knowledgeable staff strives to provide barrier-free access to educational, informational, and recreational resources using all media in a welcoming environment. The vision statement, the City of Cold Lake Library is a progressive, trusted center reflecting our diverse community. I'll just read the opening here of the values and beliefs. The Cold Lake Public Library bases its services on a set of core values and beliefs that are essential to provide excellence in its work and quality in the experience of patrons. And I have been a patron for 19, we're almost coming up on 20 years that I have lived either in the Cold Lake community, and now I live in the MD of Bonnyville. So I've known Tanya for that long, and she had my children come to baby rhyme time that long ago. So the Cold Lake Public Library has many goals on the service plan, and create young learners early literacy, know your community, community resources and services, to satisfy curiosity for lifelong learning, and Tanya does lots of programming for that, to stimulate imagination, reading, viewing, and listening, and to visit a comfortable space, physical and virtual. And they're always adding some new comfy chairs to the library. The in-house collections, you can see the numbers there for print volumes, periodicals, lots of audio books, music, and lots of videos there.
But I'd like to add to that, one thing I always tell patrons is with your free Cold Lake Public Library card, it's not, you don't have access just to what's on our shelf, but to all of Alberta and parts of Saskatchewan. So there's really 65 million items you have access to with your card.
Yeah, and that slide will come up really soon too. So the circulating numbers, oh, you want to keep scrolling. You can see the different colors there for 2021 and the projection for 2022 right on the bottom. And according to Tanya, they were, because this was supposed to be in October, Tanya can verify.
Well, I've been doing the annual report that's due on January 31st. So I can say that these numbers have went up for how many people have been using the library and our circulation stats because they go to the end of December.
And for the next slide, Tanya is also really important in understanding what borrowed and lent means. Right here, interlibrary loans. So as a patron myself, I am constantly on the track system getting all of my books. As a teacher, I constantly am using it for books for my classroom and also for my own personal reading. But Tanya can explain what the borrowed and lent means.
So every day we pull holds to send out to other libraries. So that's the stat for lent items. So we pull our books and resources and they go out to other libraries in Alberta. And borrowed ones are when you, ones that people borrow from Cold Lake.
So Cold Lake Public Library also takes their stats for all the walk-ins when they take my stat when I walk in just to get my books on hold. And you can see it's pretty equal for North and South, but Tanya was just telling me that the North branch exceeded the South branch come Christmas here in 2022. So you can see that many walk-ins. For the next slide, it shows the currently active members. So you can see the currently active members in the North and the South members, because there's a North branch and a South branch, and the MD of Bonnyville, which would include myself. I actually live closer to the North branch, but I use the South branch more, so it's nice to have many options. The e-circulations, as well as a patron myself, I use Overdrive and Hoopla a lot, just because I'm, as a teacher and even just myself, I like to either read online or listen to books while I drive for my job all the time. So you can see all those stats there. Programs and services is probably best that Tanya talks about this. She does so many programs for the Cold Lake Public Library.
Yeah, now that we've just been really busy with programs this year. We do programs for everything from babies to seniors. We partner with a lot of organizations in Cold Lake, like the schools,
Yeah.
for Battle of the Books, which has increased the number every year. And then we do a lot of pop-up services for libraries on the reserves and settlements. So those numbers have been going up as well.
We just have a few slides here that show a couple of programming, look at the library. They do so much programming for the community, like Tanya said. And the pop-up library, Tanya would know more about that, but they do go to some of our Cold Lake First Nations communities.
Yes, one of our librarians, Cecilia, goes out 3 times a week to different reserves and settlements to do pop-up services so that she can give memberships, people borrow and bring back books and answer reference questions.
It's been a service for a long time, right? They also have a home resource center. The Life Jacket lending library there was really popular this summer, and they actually have now some snowshoes that can go out for the winter, and I'm about to try those. I meant to do that on the holiday, but got busy. So a few more picture highlights from the library. This has been very popular, that students reading books.
1,000 books before kindergarten.
And then, last but not least, the 2023 revenue. You can see those numbers there. The budget for 2022 and the budget for 2023. And expenses. Please don't let me read those big numbers. Right? And the last slide explains why the increase. So the increase in outside expenses, the Northern Lights Library System levy has increased, the insurance and the external audit. And the salaries for the staff have increased. And this is a letter from our director, Leslie Price. And here's a quick overview. Exciting overall growth in memberships of approximately 10%, in usage of library facilities of approximately 37%, in programs and services of approximately 35%, and we're only at the third quarter, so that was October stats. And thank you for letting us present to you today.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in and doing this presentation. Just, is there any questions from council?
Go easy.
Which one, yeah, which one of you ladies did we meet at Canada Day? Did we, didn't you guys have a book thing at Canada Day or no?
Oh, yeah, I was there.
Okay, I thought, well, I think we met you then, okay. You guys had all that big stage presentation with the books for kids, yeah, right on. Well, thank you again for coming out, and sorry about the little bit of the delay, but I appreciate your presentation today. You guys have a great
Thank you.
day. And Happy New Year
Thanks
to you
for
guys.
having us.
All right, you're
Have a
welcome.
good day.
Thank you.
See, I took
Yeah.
it easy on you.
All right, I'd like to, someone to make a motion? Yes, okay. Thank you, Deputy Reeve Fidea, for making a motion on behalf of council that council accepts the presentation by City of Cold Lake Library Board on their 2023 budget as information. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried, thank you.
Have a good day.
Excuse me. I guess sorry, yeah. I don't know what happened there. I guess we're on to 9.4. So on to 9.4.1, is that correct? Is that where we're at, gentlemen? Yeah? Yep. Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
If we could actually open up Appendix B, please. All right. So thank you, Reeve and Council. Today we are looking at bylaw number 1811, or the proposed update to the Aurora Borealis Estates Area Structure Plan for second and third reading. This update to the Aurora Borealis Estates ASP is to facilitate the subdivision of municipal land within the MD of Bonnyville Regional Airport, and to allow the use of municipal reserve for the movement of airplanes and other necessary vehicles. Please note there are some proposed minor amendments to the plan from what was presented last. The first proposed amendment is found under section 1.0, which you can see up here. Administration is proposing changing the wording of certain references to the airport to the MD of Bonnyville Regional Airport. So previously throughout the ASP, it was referred to in a number of different forms, including regional airport, municipal airport, the Bonnyville Airport, or just as airport, and a number of other formats. So with these amendments, it's to kind of consolidate the reference to the airport so that it's referred to only as the MD of Bonnyville Regional Airport or just as the airport. So I'll scroll down. So you will see the wording of the airport has been changed throughout the ASP, including sections 4.1, 4.2, and so on. This is the only change or the only amendments proposed is just the changing of the wording of the airport so that it reflects the MD of Bonnyville Regional Airport. No other amendments are being presented at this time. So I think that covers it, and I won't point out every single time that it shows a change to the airport wording. Instead, I will go over the main changes that were presented at first reading and at the public hearing. So the main changes you'll see here are under section 4.2, development concept, where you will see that this text has been removed, which limits the ability for access to the runway. This is being removed so that the municipal reserve, also referred to as the taxiway, may be used by planes and other necessary vehicles to access the MD of Bonnyville Regional Airport and its runways. Scroll down here. We move on next to section 5.41, which limited the use of recreational area by prohibiting the movement of airplanes across the designated recreational areas. So you can see the wording in green is being added to allow airplanes and necessary vehicles for the operation of the airport. And subsection E in its entirety is being removed, which only allowed access to these areas once a detailed recreational plan was provided. Moving on to 5.5, under subsection A, we can see that the municipal reserve was used for linear parks, or proposed to be used for linear parks, and pathways were designated as recreational areas. So this wording was changed to allow for roads to be placed on municipal reserve and for access to those roads to be limited to airplanes and, again, vehicles necessary to the operation and maintenance of the airport. And then you'll see that subsection B was removed as this is more of a statement that may change over long periods of time, and it may restrict the MD of Bonnyville's ability to require environmental reserve as further subdivision occurs. So that was removed. Subsection D was removed as some of the MR which was to be used for linear parks to allow it to be used for roads again. And that is the end of the changes to the Aurora Borealis Estates Area Structure Plan. All previous attachments, such as the Stormwater Management Report, Soil Percolation Tests, Traffic Impact Assessment, and the latest future land use map are being carried forward from the previous ASP. Of note, there were 3 responses to our stakeholder circulation, all of which responded with no comments. Additionally, there were some calls from landowners, 4 in total, prior to the public hearing. However, we haven't received any additional comments or concerns or questions since the public hearing. And with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time. Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Slipchuk.
I'll make a motion that we accept this option one.
All right. That's
Second reading.
All right, we have a motion that Councillor Slipchuk on behalf of council, that bylaw number 1811 being a bylaw of the municipal district of Bonnyville number 87 to adopt the Aurora Borealis Estates Area Structure Plan to be given second reading as amended. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you.
I'll make the motion to go into third reading.
To be given third reading?
Third reading, yeah, sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Crick, on behalf of council, make a motion that bylaw number 1811 be given third reading. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. On to 9.4.2. Morning.
Good morning, Council. This morning I have bylaw number 1814, which is a roadway licensing for second and third reading. Administration is requesting the decision of second and third reading for roadway licensing bylaw number 1814, authorizing the MD of Bonnyville to enter an agreement to license the road allowance east of the southeast of 20, 61 of 6, and south of Railway Plan 1210EO in accordance with our policy 3A.018. Bylaw number 1814 is a renewal of an existing road allowance lease bylaw number 1719. The applicants have applied to license the road allowance as there is no public access to this road allowance. As well, the east parcel accesses through the west parcel by way of an easement agreement with a driveway crossing over the road allowance. A public hearing was held on December 14th, 2022, and no one was in attendance to speak either in favor of or in opposition to the application. So administration is recommending that council give second reading to bylaw number 1814, and furthermore, if carried, to proceed to third reading.
Thank you. Looking for a motion? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to go in second reading.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Reeve-Fideo. Making a motion on behalf of council that bylaw number 1814 be a bylaw of the municipal district of Bonneville number 87, roadway license be given second reading. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried, thank you. Looking for,
I'll make a motion that the bylaw be 1814 be given third reading.
okay, thank you, Councillor Sipchik, for making a motion on behalf of council that bylaw number 1814 be given third reading. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you. On to 9.4.3.
So bylaw number 1815, administration is seeking approval for a roadway license bylaw number 1815, authorizing the MD of Bonnyville to enter into an agreement to license a road allowance east of the east half of 1863-4 in accordance with policy 3A.018. Bylaw number 1815 is a renewal of an existing road allowance bylaw lease number 1721. The applicants have applied to license the road allowance to be used for grazing purposes. Public hearing was held on December 14th, 2022, and there was no one in attendance to speak either in favor of or in opposition to the application. Administration is recommending council give second reading to bylaw number 1815, and furthermore, if carried, to proceed to third reading.
Thank you. Just looking for a motion to go to second reading.
I'll make a motion for bylaw 1815 for second reading.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Sipchik. On behalf of council, making a motion that bylaw 1815 being a bylaw of the municipal district of Bonneville number 87, roadway licensing be given second reading. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Thank you. Carried. Looking for a third. Yes, thank you, Councillor Crick, for making a motion on behalf of council that bylaw number 1815 be given third reading. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried on to 9.4.4.
So bylaw number 1816, administration is seeking approval for roadway license bylaw number 1816, authorizing the MD of Bonnyville to enter into an agreement to license a road allowance west of legal subdivision 12 of section 11, township 63, range 3, in accordance with our policy number 3A-018. Bylaw number 1816 is a renewal of an existing road allowance lease bylaw number 1724. The applicant has applied to license the road allowance to be used for gravel pit access and operations for existing material surface leases. A public hearing was held on December 14th, 2022, and no one was in attendance to speak either in favor of or in opposition to the application. Administration is recommending that council give second reading, and furthermore, if carried, to proceed to third reading.
Okay, thank you. I'm looking for a motion on second. Yes. Thank you, Deputy Reeve-Fideo, for making a motion on behalf of council that bylaw number 1816 being a bylaw of the municipal district of Bonneville number 87, roadway license to be given second reading. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Looking for third.
I'll make a motion for third reading.
Thank you, Councillor Sipchik, for making a motion on behalf of council that bylaw number 1816 be given third reading. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day. 9.4.5, policy number 1005.
Good morning, Council.
Morning.
Administration was requested by Council on December 14th, 2022, to make a number of amendments to our current policy number 1.005, Seniors Transportation Grant Policy, and to bring them forward for Council's consideration. The following changes have been made to this policy as requested. We've reduced the mileage reimbursement rate from 56 cents per kilometer back to 20 cents per kilometer. We've reduced the maximum reimbursement value in a calendar year from $600 to $400. We've reduced the maximum reimbursement value in a calendar year for those who qualify for the Canada's Pensions Guaranteed Income Supplement from $1,200 to $1,000. And we've also reduced in the claim period, you need to apply for the reimbursement within 30 days of the appointment instead of 6 months past your appointment date. Attached for Council's consideration is the proposed amendments to the policy in Appendix A. The policy in this program is in line with our strategic plan, specifically our main principle. One of our main principles is to value quality of life. Our costs currently to this program, it's budgeted at $40,000 a year, to a maximum of $40,000 a year, and it is administered through the Bonnyville FCSS organization. Administration's recommendation is that Council adopts the amended policy as presented.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Crick?
Yeah, I thank you very much for doing all that work to it. And the reason being, I'll just clarify, the reason being that we're, from the FCSS, asking for these changes is that the money wasn't going to stretch far enough to cover the whole year. And even at the 20 cents per kilometer, that will still allow, if somebody had to leave from this building to the Royal Alexander Hospital, that would give them $96.40, which would cover their cost of their fuel. So with that, I'll make a motion that we accept this policy as amended.
Thank you. Any other? Okay, thank you, Councillor Crick. I believe you made the motion there. On behalf of Council, that Council adopts amending policy number 1.005, Seniors Transportation Grant Policy as presented. Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. 9.5.1.
Good morning. At the October 26th, 2022 organizational meeting, Council approved moving the weekday for regular meetings of Council and Committee of the Whole meetings from Wednesdays to Tuesdays. This change prompted administration to review the procedural bylaw for any required amendments in response to this change and have prepared an amending bylaw for Council's consideration. Council reviewed bylaw number 1828 on November 23rd and gave first reading of the bylaw as presented at that time. Since first reading, administration has made a couple changes to the bylaw as outlined in Appendix B. These changes include the addition of Schedule A as a template for notice of motions brought forward by Council, as well as an additional clause to amend the procedure bylaw to reference this new template. Additionally, administration would like to create a consolidated procedural bylaw document combining the original bylaw number 1787 with all active amendments in one document. We believe this will help reduce confusion and potential conflict in interpretations and adhering to the established procedures and requirements of the bylaw. Administration currently requires Council approval to consolidate any bylaws as per the CAO bylaw. Attached for Council's review is Appendix A, which is the bylaw. Appendix B, which is the bylaw showing the changes that have been made since first reading. And Appendix C, which is the initial bylaw number 1787 procedure bylaw, and the one amendment that is active since its passing, which is bylaw number 1793. Administration's recommended action is for the bylaw to receive second and third reading today, as well as for council to approve consolidation of bylaw number 1787 with any amendments approved through amending bylaws.
Thank you. Just looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept second reading.
Okay.
Be given second.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Slipchuk. On behalf of council, making a motion that bylaw number 1828, being a bylaw in the municipal district of Bonneville number 87, to amend bylaw number 1787 procedural bylaw be given second reading as amended. Any discussion on this?
So,
Yes, go ahead,
Mr. Reeve,
Councillor.
what's the purpose of the notice of motion? Oh,
It's just there to act as a template to help guide any member of council that may wish to submit a notice of motion in the future.
Any other questions? No? Okay, I'll call for the vote then. Thank you, that's carried. Looking for third. Thank you, Deputy Reeve Fideo, for making a motion on behalf of council that bylaw number 1828 be given third reading. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Also looking for another motion.
I'll make a motion for council approves the consolidation of bylaw number 1787.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Slipshire, for making a motion on behalf of council. The council approves the consolidation of bylaw number 1787 procedural bylaw with the amendments approved through amending bylaws. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried, thank you. I believe we're at 9.5.2, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
So bylaw number 1831 is a repealing bylaw. Administration has been completing a thorough review of historic MD bylaws as part of a process for us to move our bylaw registry to a digital platform and update any missing information. During this process, some bylaws have been found to be still active that should have been repealed previously. As such, administration has prepared a bylaw to repeal these historic bylaws that are no longer necessary. The bylaws that are proposed to be repealed through bylaw number 1831 are bylaw number 174. Matters regarding civil defense and disasters would now be governed under bylaw 1809, emergency management bylaw. Bylaw number 681, Mr. Robert Danenko is no longer employed by the MD as a CAO, therefore this bylaw is no longer necessary. Bylaw number 695, the MD has not had its own library board since 2016. Bylaw number 952, the authorization for placement of traffic control devices is under the CAO as per the bylaw number 1120, CAO bylaw. Bylaw number 1036 is also a traffic device bylaw. Again, the authority is now under the CAO bylaw number 1120. Bylaw number 1060, the MD no longer has a court of revision, as those decisions would be made by the Assessment Review Board, which is governed by bylaws number 1742 and 1743. And bylaw number 1077, the fee for the issuance of tax certificates is now governed by the master rates bylaw. Attached for council's review is Appendix A, bylaw number 1831, and Appendix B is a copy of the bylaws proposed to be repealed through the new bylaw. Administration's recommended action today is to give the bylaw first reading.
Thank you. Yes, Deputy Reeve Fideo.
I'd like to make that motion. Thanks for catching all those. Yeah, lots of work.
Thank you, Deputy Reeve Fideo, on behalf of council for making this motion that bylaw number 1831 being a bylaw in the municipal district of Bonneville number 87 to repeal bylaws that are no longer applicable and or relevant to municipal operations be given first reading. Any discussion on this? Yes, Councillor Slipchuk?
Sorry, I just want for just clarification on bylaw 952, authorization for placement of traffic control devices. Mr. Hogan, if you could just explain to me what was that previously, like who was looking after that before, please?
Through the Reeve, Councillor Sipchuk and the rest of council, bylaw 1120 gives the CEO and/or designate the approval for the placement of traffic control devices. There were two other existing bylaws, those bylaws that should have been repealed when bylaw 1120 was put in place. I'm not sure when 1120 was put in place, but that's all that is just we currently, until council removes them or repeals them, we have three separate bylaws indicating who's putting up traffic control devices. So now all we're trying to do is clean that up. The last one passed by council was 1120.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
On to 9.5.4, I believe. Pontiac?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Reed, members of council. Administration received a letter from the Bonneville Junior A Pontiacs requesting a commitment of financial support for an upcoming event for which they are preparing a bid to host in either 2024 or 2025. That event is the National Junior A Championships, which includes a requirement to confirm a certain level of funding for hosting the event. They're requesting the MD of Bonneville to commit financial support towards the event in the amount of $175,000 plus half of the facility costs accrued at the Centennial Center for the entirety of the event. The MD will not know until at least March of 2023 at the earliest if this commitment would be required for the 24 or 25 years. Attached for council review is the letter from the Pontiac Junior A that they sent us here just recently. Just a couple of notes that aren't in the staff report is this would not be a budget requirement for this year. It's just purely a letter of commitment. On the other side of the coin is we don't know what half of the facility costs would entail, and nor have we seen any other budget or who else has been requested. I see that it is on the Town of Bonneville's agenda for their council meeting this evening, but we don't know anything about any of the other costs. Our recommendation is that the council directs administration on which way to proceed.
So, Mr. Reeve? Yeah. That would be for 2025 then, right?
They're applying for 24 or 25, whichever one they're successful for. So, best case scenario for the Pontiacs is they would be granted the 24. Worst case scenario is they would get the 25. So they don't know which year it will be yet.
Oh, I thought they were going for the 2025 year more so than 24. Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah.
They could get, if nobody applies for the 2024, they might get that. But they're going for the 2025, I believe.
Yeah.
I read anyway.
That's right.
They said here they're submitting a bid for the 2024 or 2025 National Junior A Championships. The proposed 2024 dates are May 9th to the 19th, and the 2025 dates being May 8th to the 18th. Their preference would be to host 2025,
Yeah.
but they are open to 2024 if the offer is extended.
Yeah, this way, Mr. Reeve, we can split the amount in for 2024 budget and 2025. So I'll make the motion to support the letter of support.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah. Thank you, Steph. All right, we have a motion on behalf, thank you, Councillor Kraviak, for making a motion on behalf of council, that council approves a request from the Bonneville Junior A Pontiacs to commit funding towards 2024 to 2025 National Junior A Championships pending on the approval of their bid in the amount of $175,000 plus half of the facility cost at the Centennial Center for the duration of the event to be funded from.
Well, that's going to come up in the budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Budget from 2023, I guess, would that be correct way to put it?
It would be the 2024 budget. It has
Sorry,
not been budgeted
that's
for in
correct.
2023.
2024 budget. Apologize for that, guys. 23 is already done. Yeah, okay, yeah. Any discussion on this motion? Yes, Deputy Reeve Fadeev.
Yeah, I just have a couple of quick questions. I'm definitely okay with splitting the cost of the C2 since it's both ours. But again, there's no economic value to the MD of Bonneville to a point. I mean, there is some, but I'd really like to see, and then CEO Hogan had the same question, is, you know, how does that 175 look as far as the whole
Picture.
the whole budget, like their budget goes? You know, are we on the high end? Are we on the low end? Are we equal, you know, everywhere else? And I mean, this is it's positive for the C2 center, but it's also positive for the hotel rooms and all that kind of stuff that really, you know, doesn't help the MD, right? It does and it doesn't, but I just wanted to know that, and I think we got those questions coming, so those are just things, but.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Slip, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Fideo about economic development. We won't see as much of it, but it's not just about that, but also we got a lot of residents in the MD that are hockey players and that. It's going to benefit them. And I believe the timing of the event, the end of May, is perfect time for showcasing our MD and maybe help promote it there, have something maybe set up there if we're successful. And it's a lot better to promote the MD in the summer than it is in the winter. So that's just my 2 cents with it.
Yeah.
Yes, Councillor Crick, and then Councillor Cravia.
So I guess I'm a little confused as to how come this came, like, they need an answer by tomorrow, is that my understanding? And then that's, yeah, okay, so that seems kind of odd to ask for that much money on such short notice.
Yeah, I think they have to apply by the 28th of January, so that's why.
By the
Yeah.
28th.
Doesn't give much
I
time.
believe it got sprung on them and then it gets sprung on us, kind of thing.
So we could decide on the 24th then.
I know, but that's only a few days' notice. They need time to prepare their
Our next
proposal.
council meeting is in, what date?
24th.
20, yeah.
And this is basically all assuming that they will get accepted.
Yeah.
They could get rejected on the whole
Mhm.
thing, and this could just go away completely. And it could be a 26 or a 27 or a
And
28.
the town can reject it tonight as well, right?
Yeah, but it's also the league as well, right? I mean, if the league doesn't feel like
Yeah.
this is a.
There's
good
probably a
plan-
lot of people putting a bid in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Reeve is supposed to bring in like over $2 million worth of business to this area, so
Yeah.
that's a good thing. And there's MD people who own businesses in town too, so it'll help them also.
I don't know exactly what day our parks and our, you know, all that opens, but you could have a little bit of spin-off on that if it's at the end of May. You know, we
Yeah.
could promote our, you know, people are gonna be coming in, and if they're camping people, they might use our facilities somewhat.
Victoria Day weekend, I
Yeah.
think, is when it starts, yeah.
So that's just one, you know, it's not a big thing, but it is one, yeah.
Yeah. And then the other question is about half the facility cost. You said we don't know that. Do you have any kind of ballpark idea of that or anything?
I wouldn't even
No.
be able to speculate.
Yes, go ahead.
This has happened in the past, and I think as far as, I guess, gauging it, we probably could gauge it. But I mean, it's all part of it, right? So it's good for the C2, which is half of ours.
Yeah. Did I
I'd say I
read
really
this
like
out
it.
yet? I don't think I read this out. I did? Ladies, did I read this one out? Okay, I'm gonna call for the vote on that motion that's on the screen there. Any other discussion on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just one more question, I guess.
Yes.
So, I know they're saying that a bunch of money is gonna come in to the MD through that, but like, I agree with Deputy Fidea that most of that's gonna end up going to the town. It goes to the hotel chains and a lot of chain businesses that aren't even necessarily local, they're just in Bonnyville. So I don't know, I guess I struggle with this one. I think there's a lot of people that would enjoy it and they enjoy playing hockey, but that's a lot of money that we're talking about spending over 10 days. I'm not really sure if it's worth it myself, but.
Yeah, Councillor Slipchuk?
Yeah, I believe if they are successful, I believe a lot of local businesses will get behind them and be sponsoring them as well, and they'll be giving money as well to make a successful event for benefit of all of us.
I think this is all, well, I think this will also help the city because I don't think you can host that many people here in this town for like accommodations and stuff, so it's going to be spread out throughout the whole MD, I'm pretty sure, but we might not get the biggest amount of kickback, but the whole area in a whole will get a pretty big kickback, I'm sure. Like if they're talking $2.5 million in the area, well, that'll, I don't know how much that'll stay here, but quite a bit of it will. Yeah, go ahead.
But it's
Deputy Reeve.
also supporting the businesses that do provide services, and that's kind of strength. I mean, my question is just to raise awareness, but at the end of the day is, if the businesses in the MD, in the town of Bonnyville are strong, that also, it's something that provides service for the MD residents as well. So, it's all good. I think it's definitely positive.
Any other discussion? You're good? All right, I'll call for the vote. That's carried, thank you. On to 9.6.1.
Thank you, Mr. Reid, members of council. This is in regards to a council invitation to the 2023 Cold Lake Women of Influence Awards evening on March the 3rd of 2023. During the November 23rd, 2022 regular meeting of council approved sponsorship in the amount of $1,000 to support the Cold Lake Women of Influence Awards event on the 3rd of March. This sponsorship includes 4 tickets to the event. Administration is requesting confirmation of who will be attending this event. You can see the attachment with the actual invitation, and our administrative recommendation is that council approves some councillors to attend the 2023 Cold Lake Women of Influence Awards for March 23rd at 7 p.m. in Cold Lake.
All right, who would like to go to this? Councillor Fidea? Or-
I know in the past, the Reeve has always gone.
Okay.
So how many tickets are there?
4.
4? Did you?
I'll go.
Okay.
I'm not a woman, but I don't mind going.
Thanks for clarifying that for us, Josh. Yeah, I guess Josh and I and our wives, I guess, could attend?
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome, thank you. We don't need a motion on that or anything? Correct? Yeah, okay, thank you. I guess we're going to, we might as well, yeah, we can finish this meeting off before dinner, I guess, eh? On to 10, correspondence, Mr. Al Hogan.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve and members of the council. I'm not going to go through each piece of correspondence. Many of them are just Christmas greetings, but you can see the list of 22 pieces of correspondence we received throughout since the last council meeting. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer any of them. I would also add, as part of this, although not specifically correspondence, we are actively seeking a meeting with Minister Nate Horner regarding natural gas, as gas co-ops are part of the Ag Ministry. We've also requested a meeting with Minister Rebecca Schultz, Minister of Municipal Affairs, during convention in March. And we've also reached out and we're trying to arrange a meeting with the president of the Pathways Consortium.
Just one more on that list. I think I asked for a meeting with Copping in regards to PCN funding and their strategies to how they're going to, I guess, adopt some sort of, I guess a better framework, because a $2.1 million loss for our North region is not acceptable, and I just want to make sure that that is captured and our advocacy is there for the region.
I don't have the details in front of me, Mr. Reeve, members of the council, but we have been invited to a meeting with the MLA and Alberta Health Services regarding the PCN issue. Ms. Bartlett will have more information, but we've just recently received some stuff, and it's in progress right now about a meeting regarding PCN.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll-
there is one coming up here, I think, on Wednesday or Thursday evening for a meeting with them. I think it's a virtual meeting with AHS in regards to their funding with PCNs. My second question is, so the Justice Center engagement sessions, we're going to be represented on that meeting, so that's 10.16 email from the Minister of Public Services and Emergency Services. So are we going to be in attendance in that? Somebody?
We certainly could look at it.
Just a question. I don't know if we are or not, if there's any kind of new information on that our emergency management might take something from that or not.
We'll certainly look into it.
Okay, thank you.
And just in response to what I just said a minute ago, so MLAs Yao, Roswell, and Hanson would like to meet with us on behalf of the Ministry of Health to discuss the issues we've been encountering with the PCN network and identify solutions. And currently, we are working on a meeting for February the 2nd. That was an invitation made by them. I don't know if Ms. Bartlett has firmed anything up yet, but I know that was, we did ask for them to be pencil us in for that date, and I'm not quite sure where we stand exactly today, but stand by for incoming.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Anything else, gentlemen? Yes, Councillor Slipchuk.
Yeah, you mentioned about Pathways there, meeting with them. Do we have a date set, or you just opened that up? And I believe that we should be meeting them with quite regularly, we should, through the year, to make sure we are being noticed and show them that we are willing to work with them and try to bring this opportunity to our area if it goes forward.
I don't know the status of the current invitation. I know Ms. Bartlett sent it out a few days ago, and we don't even know yet who would be attending. So that's, again, stand by in for coming. And you know, at council's direction, we could certainly meet multiple times with Pathways. I think there's a fine line between meeting too much and not meeting enough. I think we just have to strike that balance, but we certainly will meet with them the first time and then decide from there as to whether this would be something regular or I think in many cases our meeting with our local industry liaisons, as some of the people we're well familiar with, are very integral in the Pathways project. I think that will be helpful as well.
Thank you. And yes, Deputy Reeve Fidel.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to accept all correspondence as information.
Thank you, Deputy Reeve Fidel, for making a motion on behalf of council. That council accepts the following correspondence as information, 1 through 23. Any discussion on this motion, gentlemen? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. That's carried. We'll go on to council reports, I guess. Yes, Deputy Reeve.
Yeah, I'll start. Thanks very much. I forgot my report at home. So basically, the only meeting I had was with the FCSS, and it was just a rehash of last year and of some of the things that are going on, but I can bring the detailed report to us at the next meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Slipchuk?
It was a quiet Christmas, and there was nothing really to report, but there is speaking engagement coming up in February, and they're looking for judges. They need a bunch of judges. And I said, I'm pretty sure all council probably would volunteer for that. It's good for them. So they need quite a few judges. It's a 2-day event. I just wanted to highlight that to everybody.
Yeah, thank you for that. I got voluntold for that one. So, no, it was good. I heard a presentation about 3 years ago, and it's amazing to see these young kids come out there and do some amazing public speaking. I wish I would have been on that train a long time ago.
Thank you, Councillor Slipchuk. Mike or Josh, whatever.
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
just had one meeting, FCSS, to welcome, a luncheon meeting to welcome the new director, Ms. Lavoie.
Yeah.
That's about all I had, so that's good. Thank you.
Sorry, who was that again? Miss Lavoie?
Rachel
Okay.
Lavoie is the new director of FCSS.
Cool.
Lavie.
Awesome. Congratulations. Yeah.
Well, it was, our last council meeting was December 14th, so I guess it's been a little while. But December 15th, we had a BRFA meeting, and one highlight from that meeting was that Bonnyville Beach made a very generous donation, which I see was in the newspaper, so I think most people are aware of that, but basically some life-saving equipment for our ambulances. So thank you to them for that. Then we had the green chair opening at the ski hill. And then a Bonnyville Regional Water Service Commission meeting. Highlight from that meeting was that Glendon would like support to get hooked up to the water line. Yeah, their water in the village of Glendon is very poor, and their infrastructure is also kind of failing, so they'd like to get that upgraded at some point. And then December 22nd, we had an Egg Service Board meeting, and the Egg Service Board conference is coming up here shortly, so we would go to that as well.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, just one more comment so regards to your report. If so, are they looking for a letter of support for grant funding? Is the grant funding going to be for the region? Because I know Cherry Groves has been asking for water for the last 25 years, the high arsenic and everything else. So if the region is going to get grant funding, will that also satisfy some MD residents, which are our ratepayers as well?
They were looking for support. That's what they were looking for. So whether it's in a letter but basically the Water Service Commission, we directed them to try and find sources of funding, and that may be in the future coming back for a grant or a letter of support or something, but.
They're looking for options.
Yeah.
So we just gave them some options, and it's, they're going to take what we had to tell them, and right? I guess, yeah, Josh, you pretty well covered everything I had. I just want to thank you for mentioning the 4-H. They phoned me as well, and I've been on that for quite a few, and I just asked them to put me wherever they need, wherever they're short. So, sometimes they have one that they got a lot, and then the next one, they don't have any. So I just said to put me wherever. So I guess that's probably a good way of going about it. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, when you're done.
Sorry?
When you're done.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I missed when I was talking about the ski hill. I've had the opportunity with my wife and kids to go out there a few times already this year, and the staff there have been going, I would say, above and beyond the call of duty, and very professional and friendly and helpful. So just a great thank you to them. Just good report from that. So
I guess I'll talk. I went there the other day as well, and the staff was just incredible as well. I was doing that Santa Claus thing, and it was incredible. And then I guess Mike ain't here, but I just wanted to say that some people from the lodge phoned me about Mike attending there. I don't remember exactly what event it was. It was something to do with Christmas though, and they were just they were so glad that he came, and then he spoke, and they are so thankful for that. So Mike did a bang-up job. I wish he was here when I'm saying that, but I'll tell him later. But anything else from council?
No, I'll mention also, if you brought up Canosu, that my relatives out from Manitoba they went there, and they said they had a splendid time. They can't believe that we had something like that in our area, and the kids all went, so it was great.
Yeah.
Thank you to all the staff for all they do.
Yeah, throughout. All right, I guess that's it. Thank you. I think I need a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go closed session.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Slipchuk. I'm going to call for the vote. Mike ain't here, so. What? Yeah, I know. Did he leave? Or he must have went to the washroom, right?
We'll take a break and come back.
Okay. How about if I don't want to take a break? Do you want just a show of hands? Oh, well, we don't have nothing yet either. There we go.
We're gonna take a break with the ski boots, anyways, the toe on her boots broke, so she was just totally embarrassed.
That's carried. We're going to take a break.
She's gonna